Hey everyone, good morning. It is May 17th. It's a Saturday right now. It's about to rain in a couple hours, but that's what the forecast says. I'm going to give you guys an update of the seedlings because it's been progressing along. So these are the seedlings that are the non-manillas, non-atafos. These are the kind of pretty much came from more like premium quality fruits. So I'm going to give you guys an update on that. You guys seen this one before. This is a Pickering seedling, and this one that is blooming. So the last time I think I showed this, it was the bloom was barely pushing. You can see it coming along right now. There is some female blooms on here, but I'll be removing this pretty soon. It's just too small to be fruiting, but it kind of shows you how early these mango seedlings bloom in Southern California, so, or California overall. These two are, it's not a poly seed or anything, but I just, the seedlings, so I just put two of them right next to each other. And as you could see, I still got some of the signs when I started this. Like this was started back in June 27th, 2023. So when you think about that, that's how old is that? It's about to be about 2 years old only, and it's bloomed already. It's been blooming the last 2 months. So just to show you guys, I'm gonna keep on going. Here's some more seedlings. I just put this in the ground recently. These are some more cherries I had. I really like the flavor of cherry, so hopefully these trees kind of grow a bit more vigorously than the grafted trees. They weren't doing so well in the pots I had. I didn't feel like uppotting it, so I kind of just put it all together, kind of put it all in like one row and kind of kept it all together with the other cherries. This is another cherry that doesn't look too good. It got sunburned a bit too from the recent heat wave we had. So these were just planted out like a month ago. These two, a month or two ago, sometimes around then. This was planted out last year, so this is a cherry right here. Interesting little cherry seedling because this one produces red leaves. Cherry produces kind of like a brownish leaf, and most of the seedlings I have, a cherry produces kind of like a brownish orangey leaf in terms of when one is flushing. Here's another one that I planted out last year. It hasn't done too well, so let's see what happens with it. I put 2 lemon zest seedlings in here. These guys are 2 separate kind of seeds. I just kind of planted together. We're doing too well in the pots, and I was like, I didn't want to just kind of kill off, so just kind of give it a chance. Maybe we'll do better in the ground, maybe not. Okay, let's keep on going. So here's a Bombay seedling. This one is I have 3 Bombay seedlings, so this one's my favorite of them. Very strong Alfonso like Indian spice smell to the leaves. Okay, right next to it is 2 lemon zest seedlings. This got burnt in a recent heat wave. This was a new flush that happened when I think we actually hit like 96 that 1 week, so kind of got burnt a bit. So here's the other lemon zest. This one looks like it's about to flush. Let's see. These ones I had in full sun hasn't done as well as all these seedlings I had in full sun. It hasn't really done as well or grown as tall as the ones I had in partial shade. So here's a couple more Bombay seedling. Bombay has a great flavor, so see what this ends up being. So here's one, here's the other one, and as you guys notice, I'm planting my seedling trees pretty closely to each other. It's I'm in California. It's gonna take a while for it to get to a point where it's overcrowding each other, so I'm gonna just utilize the space for now. And if anything doesn't taste good, I either remove it or chop it down or graft over, whatever it is, So let's kind of go take a look at the other seedlings. So I put in a bunch of seedlings put in some more seedlings into the ground just like a month ago. Let's see how it goes. Some of these was ones that I didn't really have much plans for, but I was like, oh, I'll just give it a shot. These are all like cogs are. Yeah, these are all cogs are right here. Put that one in the ground. That just went in like a month ago. This one, these two. So now let's take a look at ones that's been in here for a while. This is a guava Saint Alone seedlings. It has 2 trunks. It has actually 3 trunks, but 2 really nice ones right here. 2 really nice sized trunks, and they're getting pretty tall. They can push. I mean, these are getting to like 4.5 feet, 5 feet in height and stuff in some of my more vigorous seedlings that I put in the ground last year. And again, this section of wall is not in full sun like the ones you previously seen. This is like it gets morning sun, and then by afternoon, by like 1 o'clock, it's shaded. So morning sun. Let's see. Here's I believe this is a lemon zest. So here's the lemon zest right here. Lemon zest. Right here. About to flush. Looking good. I put in a cac seedling in the ground here. Just put that in a month ago. This lemon zest was from last year. I put in 2 more honey kiss seedlings. So here's one that came. There was multiple shoots, but it came from one seed. Here's another one with multiple shoots that came from 1 seed. See how it goes. I mean, the honey kiss has been very surprising for me because it seems to grow at a steady rate. It's definitely like feels more like a more. I wouldn't call it a dwarf, but more on like a slower growing side than the other varieties. But it seems to grow at a pretty good pace. And let's see what else is next. So this one's another lemon zest. It has 2 shoots. One of it's really small. This one's a bit taller. This one looks a bit different than other lemon zest. So I'm guessing maybe this one, the taller one, is the pollinated one. And the leaves on this one looks more normal for lemon zest. This one looks a little bit different. Something about it is a little bit different. I'm not too sure. Okay, so keep on going. This one's a sweet tart. This one has multiple shoots. Multiple shoots that came out of it, but it has not been as vigorous as my other sweet tart. But I'm hoping it catches up this year. But check this out. I didn't even notice that it bloomed, but it bloomed. Here it goes. So, out of these batch I'm showing you, this is the second one. The first one was a pickering that bloomed. This is a lemon zest seedling that bloomed. Gotta keep on going. Here's a coconut cream. Just put that in this like a month ago. Here's another honey kiss. I think I might call this misidentified this last time. This is a honey kiss, definitely. But it's honey kiss. There's 2 or 3 shoots. One tiny one right there, and this one that's blooming. So far these seedlings that's like, gosh, not even 2 years old, and since they bloomed like a month ago, month or 2 ago, they're even younger than that. And blooming, so like a pickering that bloom, a sweet tart that bloom, and a honey kiss that's bloom. Okay, let's keep on going. I'm showing you guys only the stuff I put it in ground, not the seedlings I had in pots, which I still have tons of those. So check this one out. This is another guava Saint Alone. This one's getting pretty tall right there. Here's the other shoot. There's a lot more shoots on the bottom, but they're not as vigorous as these two right here. Okay, let's keep on going. Here's a really nice sweet tart seedlings. There's three vigorous shoots. The other one's a little bit smaller. This I could tell you already on this one which one is the clone. This is the clone lemon zest. The clone lemon zest. This came from a poly seed. This one right here is the pollinated one. So this one is actually a very classic smelling leaf on it. So doesn't have that strong acidic tart like flavoring on the smell of the leaves. So this was an interesting one where you could see that out of it, it was the pollinated variety, but it was the less vigorous one. Most of my experiments so far has shown that for the most part the pollinated one has tended to be the most vigorous one. You know, that has been the case on most of the things. But some of my sweet tart has been the opposite. It was not the most or second vigorous one, I think. So that's an interesting one to see with the sweet tart. But like my lemon zest, it was always the pollinated one was always the most vigorous one. A lot of other varieties too, like the M4s and stuff like that. So interesting to see. I'm going to try to take a sign on this later this year and kind of get it saved onto a more mature established wheat stock. So classic smelling sweet tart seedling. Just let's keep on going. Here's an alfalfa seedling. It was pretty tall. I kind of tried to graft over it with a more interesting seedling. So this is a from what I could tell is probably an M4 seedling. It was an M4 seedling, so let's see what happens. I hope the graft take. It might not take. So let's see. Now here's one that's really tall. This is probably like close to like getting close to like over 5 feet tall right here. This is a honeycrisp seedling. So most of my honeycrisp has grown at a steady pace, but this one has grown at a very vigorous pace. I think this one is the pollinated one because the leaves are a little bit different, a little bit more reddish than what I'm used to seeing with the honeycrisp, which tends to be on more brownish side. So this ain't the only shoot. Here's another one right here, that one. So one or the other is probably going to be the clone, and one's going to be the zygotic pollinated one. So my guess is this one's a clone, and again that's a guess for right now. And this one is the pollinated seedling, embryo. So okay, so this one is honeycrisp, another one. Let's keep on going. Here's a cotton candy right here. So there's like two shoots from here. It's cotton candy. Hopefully it does a little bit better. It was doing a little bit better before I put it in the ground. It seemed to kind of slow down a bit. So this cotton candy. And let's keep on going. Well, let me show you some of these others. Since the seedlings, I'm going to just show it to you anyway. But these weren't planted last year. So here's a seedling of my California Remit. You can see all the fruitlets there. And this seedling, try to get a better angle of it. This seedling was actually planted out back in 2022, and before that it was in a pot for a couple of years. So at this point it's probably about 5 years old, maybe at most, maybe 4 or 5 years old at most. But it first gave me fruit in 2023. I had a fruit then. I didn't let it fruit last year, but here it goes. It's one where I was experimenting a bit with the shaping. You know, I tell you guys I like a central leader shape on my plants, but this was one where I was just kind of messing with the shaping a bit. I thought, you know, maybe after some years and trial and experiment, maybe I'd do a better job with shaping a more bushier tree. But this is all still preference. I mean, I think you could make it a more bushier tree with the seedling, but if you had a grafted tree, I definitely wouldn't try to do that. There's just too many branches with flowering. You want it to kind of get up in size and height before you let it fruit. But this is one where I let it branch out quite a bit more on the bottom, and it kind of depends on you guys like it or not. I'm not sure if I like this shape, just because the limbs are just too close to the ground. When they do fruit, they're going to be like dragging the weight down. It's not something I like. I like it going up at least, like, you know, get like I would say get 4.5 feet, 5 feet before it branches. But here's one that's, you know, you could kind of see all the fruitlets. It's a very productive variety. You guys see me show it again, but it's mostly, I would say, good quality green eating. Not great for fruit when it's ripe, just because it's too much fiber. The flavor is good. The flavor is good. It's just too much fiber. Interesting thing on this is I grafted a Sunpari seedling, and I guess the Sunpari seedling is very close to flowering. It's just like an experiment, because that mother tree actually did flower, but most of the grafts I grafted of it did flower too. So here's the union. Grafted it kind of late, not towards the end of the year, but like by fall, I guess, you know. But look at the fruitlets at the stand. I'm gonna let this, I will let this hold on to the fruits, because I want to see the quality of this fruit. If it's good enough, I'm gonna propagate the mother tree a bit more. But so far the fruitlets looks really good, and I smelled some of this, like by crushing it. Like if you take some of this little fruitlets and you crush them, smell them, it gives you a good sense of what the flavor might be in terms of where it came from. This one has this that same kind of profile as like an Alfonso, you know, that spicy kind of Alfonso like flavor with the strong kind of bit of saffron and stuff. So okay, so yeah, this just looks loaded. I doubt all this would I doubt all these fruits would hold, but you know, but quite a bit will. You know, some of it's at the later stages, some of it's at a more advanced stage. Okay, the next tree I'm going to show you guys is this one over here. This is a seedling. When did I plant this out? I actually planted this out in 2022. It was a grafted tree. And you know, at that time I was really trying to get my hands on some grafted non-turpentine trees. I got this from Florida. I wouldn't even recommend the seller right now, because you know, they graft way too young on these trees. It struggles and stuff to survive. And I was actually interested in non-turpentine rootstock. That's what they told me, but I later found out they were just grafting on any kind of seedlings they had. Kind of sprouting out in the nursery. So I kind of didn't really like that. Anyway, planted in 2022, the graft ended up dying. It was just such a young tree to be grafted on, especially for California. Makes no sense. You know, trees too small. Like, it takes several years to get to just even a decent size of other regular trees. But I thought it died, and then it sprouted back from the root. So the graft did die. So this is the root stock. So hasn't flowered yet, but it's been in the ground since 2022. So my guess, it's at least I mean, 3 years old. We're getting close to 3 years old. Because when I got that plant, it was probably only been sprouting for like, the rootstock was probably only like a couple months old, and I could tell already. Definitely won't recommend that nursery, but this it has produced an interesting kind of tree. I mean, sometimes I smell this leaf, I get a strong zest to it, strong like a citrusy zest to it. Sometimes it's just very classic smelling. I don't know what's up with this. It's very confusing to me, since usually I don't feel like my other trees or my other plants to scent smells, but this one is like very odd. There's days I smell it very strong zest, and days I smell it's just a very classic smelling leaf. But I'm having some hope. I have some high hopes for this. See what it ends up being. This doesn't really look like your typical turpentine tree. Maybe it could be something that's a Gary or PPK progeny, so you know, might came from one of those, so it'd be interesting to see what it does. But it's very vertical, vigorous grower. Interestingly enough, I've not flowered, but we'll see what happens to it. In a couple more years, I think this is going to get quite tall and quite large. So here's another one. This is kind of like a failed experiment project. This was a Kent grafted variety. The graft died, and I planted this in 2022. The Kent is still kind of alive, but the Kent is always kind of struggle for me. They always seem to do really well the first year, and then after that they just kind of struggle overall. But this Kent seedling is blooming. It's blooming everywhere. And I didn't show you guys, but I have like 2 big patches of Kent seedlings that's also blooming, that bloomed this year. So I ended up grafting again more of that Sunpari seedling. You can see the grafted there. No leaves, just flowers and fruitlets. If that holds, I am gonna let it fruit. You know, I really want to taste how that Sunpari seedling tastes. I like so far. It seems pretty. I did spray, but it still seems pretty nice, disease resistant. At least with just a bit of spraying. So okay, let's keep on going. This one we just planted out this year. You can see there's 2 rootstocks here. Here's the smaller rootstock right there, the smaller shoot, I mean. This is the larger shoot right here. And this one was getting so vigorous in the pot that I just had to kind of decide to plant out. I had this labeled as coconut cream. At this point, I am pretty sure I mislabeled it, and I'm pretty sure this is an M4 seedling. M4 is the only seedling out of that batch that year. So this was started in 2023, and the M4 was only poly seedlings out of the batch that year, or the ones where I had, you know, a few of them where the leaves are actually kind of orangey brownish. So this huge shoot right here, this huge main track right here, this one has a very strong, I would call it West Indian spice, piney smell to it, and this one has a citrusy one to it. So at this point, I am pretty sure it is an M4 seedling. This is actually the pollinated one, and this is the clone of the M4 seedling. All right. Okay, kind of returning back to this little area right here, and this was the California Remit seedling right here. This area is kind of get afternoon shade, and check this out again. I was hoping not for more blooms, but this is an M4 seedling right here. I got 2 nice shoots out of it. Okay, 2 nice shoots. This one and this one right here, and here is flowers. These M4, these out of these 2, I mean, I couldn't tell which one was the pollinated and which one wasn't the pollinated. You know, they seem to be very similar. Probably even the zygotic pollinated one probably was self-pollinated by its own variety, so probably not much difference in it. So I can't really tell until it probably fruits, and then you see what might be different. They both smell like a citrusy kind of M4 Gary progeny. Okay, up next to it right here, this is a coconut cream. Coconut cream. My coconut cream seeds has not really grown that well. I mean, they just, you know, they're just a bit slower growing than the others. They're just not that great growing. But this is coconut cream. 1, 2, 3 shoots right there. Okay, let's keep go on. Let me show you another coconut cream. Here's another coconut cream shoot that I put, and here's how the coconut cream shoots are. A little bit more on the orangey, I'm sorry, not orangey, like brownish, reddish color when they flush. And here, there's 2 shoots out of this. I planted this right next, very close to Manila. I wasn't sure if I was going to keep this Manila or if it's going to struggle. This is one of my Manilas that would consider probably a little bit of failure. Has done very poorly. Majority of that I'll contribute to myself for overgrafting, and not just overgrafting, but overgrafting with lots of failed grafts. So it's not looking too good, and the shape has kind of been just all over the place. So that's why I kind of put that here. Maybe eventually I'll take this out, maybe not, we'll see. Okay, and next to it is another M4 seedling. And this is the one that I showed you guys earlier where it bloomed. This was actually a bloom stock right here, dried up and came off. But there's 3 shoots. I can't tell which one is the pollinated one. Very similar, so probably most likely self-pollinated. But you know, definitely 2 is probably the clones and 1 is the pollinated. Just don't know which one. Probably we could tell the difference once it fruits or something, but that's a few years out, some years out. So hoping this gets some size to it. This one was the only one that bloomed, the other 2 didn't. So maybe it bloomed because it's has some different genetics. Maybe not too sure. Okay, let me show you guys my patches of Kents. So let's see. Here's my Kent seedling. These Kent seedlings began in 2022. Yeah, these began in 2022. I put it in the ground last year. It's struggled since then. I mean, most of my Kents do struggle, so that's why I never separated this. I kind of just put it all together. Just probably at least 7-8 plants in here. Probably not the best way to do it, but I was thinking if anything lives, that's great. If anything dies, that's okay. So, you know, kind of weeds out the weaker growing one. But, you know, one of the plants did bloom. This one did bloom right here. Maybe 2 of it. I think one of the other ones might have had a dried up panic, but there was probably 2 out of this. You know, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, at least 8 plants in here. So, but again, it's struggling a bit. It seems to not do well in shade, not do well in full sun. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully we have a winner out of this patch. Here's another one. Also, these seeds began in 2022. I'm gonna have to do some weeding. The grass is kind of getting into this, but there's probably about like 5 or 6 different seeds in here. Same thing what I did with that. I just kind of planted the whole thing together. It did a couple of them did bloom. So you know, this one's a rebloom. There was another bloom on here that came out earlier. And this one kind of came out afterwards. See what happens. So this one seems powder mildew prone, like it's catching it. Oh well, 1, 2, actually 3. Here's another seedling that bloomed on this. Again, began in 2022. It was in 1 pot. I had a 15-gallon pot. I took it out of the pot last year and I put the whole thing in the ground. It's kind of like in this community pot of like a bunch of Kent seedlings. I wasn't planning to kind of separate it because I'm kind of moving away from experimenting anymore with Kent seedlings. If you guys want to, that's up to you guys. But in terms of my experiment, I am focusing mostly just on either the Laverne, Everdure, Manila rootstocks, or the autophos that you get from the stores. Here's another one that looks really, really clean. So this one's one of the seedlings too, but look at the fruitlets on this. It's probably still too small to hold on into any fruits, but definitely a much more cleaner bloom. Didn't seem to catch anything, and look at this. That's pretty incredible. Let's see. Okay, so these two patches was from some 2022 seeds. Here's another patch, and this one's from a 2023 seeds. So probably about 6 of them in here. Let's see how it does. None of these bloom yet, so I expect that maybe next year some of them will bloom just like the other one, kind of hitting that 3-year mark, and then it blooms. Okay, well guys, that's an update on this seedling project. So you can see what's going on, and still early in the year, so I'm hoping lots of these seedlings will add a bunch of growth this year, and hopefully, you know, they add several feet of growth by the end of this year. Okay guys, thanks.